So here we are with the part 2 of this Chris Kyle American Valor Foundation build. You might have, if you saw the last video, you'll notice I put a note at the end of the video thanking E-Trailer. E-Trailer donated pretty much all the material for this build. Very grateful for that. Thank you. If you can, go out, check out E-Trailer. Check out their website. They have a bunch of cool stuff if you deal a lot with trailers. Again, thank you, E-Trailer. We appreciate it. So I went ahead and finished prepping this up for welding. I ended up grinding my grooves in here. I wanted to penetrate. So I did grind a little bit of a groove where it's going to be welded. I did end up finishing up the door layout where it was going to be at. So this part down here is not going to be welded. And I ended up kind of doing like a mock fit up of where I wanted the chambers to be at. So everything is level, squared off. Went ahead and marked right here where I'm going to cut out on this plate. Cut that piece out. And same thing is down here in the bottom. It's marked out. I'm going to cut that top part of this off and then tack and weld those together. Once I weld them up separately, and the next step will be grinding them up, cleaning them up, putting them together. And if you're probably wondering how I got these up here, I did make a homemade kind of crane. Kept having to wait for the neighbors to show up and help me unload pipe and heavy material, so I just went ahead and made my own. And it works great. Big help. So if you want, make your own crane, it'll help you out. So real quick, I know it's kind of a terrible drawing, but this joint here, I've said before, you're gonna have a natural bevel going down this with the two plates. I'm gonna be welding this up with MIG. I have a Hobart 190 Pro MIG, and it works great. Runs off a 220, but normally when I'll be welding with MIG, I'm doing a cursive E, and then I'll get my stack. It'll give you that stack appearance if you do it right once you've done it for a while and you practice with it. But in this case, welding this joint here, I don't want to do this cursive E, because what's going to end up happening is if I do that, this is looking down this way of this joint. If I do that, it's going to end up burning these edges here. And it's going to burn it, and it's not going to look as clean as I would like for it to look. So normally I would do the cursive E's, but for this weld, I'm just going to drag it. Drag or pull, you can do either or, because I want that weld to be a little bit higher up. And for that reason, is I'm going to come back through, and I know some people are going to hate it, but once it's painted, it looks so much better. I'm going to come back through and grind this part flush, and I'm going to remove this weld here, and I'm going to remove this weld here. So it's going to come to like a point. Then all that's going to be left is I hit it with the grinder first on both edges, then I come back and hit it with the flapper wheel, or tiger disc. There's a bunch of different names for it. I come back and hit it with this disc, and it smooths it out really well. And I round up that sharp edge, and once it's painted, it looks so much better than leaving your weld. So that's my tip. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this, welding it out. And so I went ahead and just welded a little piece just to go over what I was just talking about as far as the grinding. So you see, I didn't I didn't do any E's. I didn't do any of the back and forth, triangles. A bunch of people do different ways of welding. I just dragged it. I just drug it. That's it. I wasn't trying to burn over one way more than the other. Just try to stay right in the middle to fill up this groove. So this is what it looks like when it's not ground flush. And then what I did was I came back through, grinded it flush this way, grinded it fresh on top, and then hit it with the flapper wheel. And this is kind of the difference. This isn't the paint that I use. I mean, this is a high temperature paint that I use on some of the stuff that I add as far as cutouts. But when you go through and you paint it, it just looks a lot better being ground flush. Looks a lot cleaner. Well, it doesn't look bad, but still, it just looks cleaner when you grind and flush. So that's why I do it that way. I don't mind doing a little bit extra work. I know some people are gonna lose their minds saying, oh, if it's a pretty weld, you don't have to grind it, and it's true, you don't. But it being octagon like this, I like for it to be ground flush and smooth. To me, it just looks a lot better at the end product. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep going. I'm gonna weld this one out. I'm gonna go ahead and weld out the main chamber. And that's just gonna be the same thing over and over, so I'm not gonna record that. I'll be back in a little while to work on the smokestack. Alright, so now I got everything welded out, and it's already ground flush. Like I said before, I hit it with the tiger disc to smooth out these lines, and this is what it pretty much looks like when you're done with it. It's completely up here. This is not welded because actually, if you're looking at it from this side, this is where the firebox is going to attach. This is going to be your front, so the door stops welding about right here. Our door is going to come down here, come straight across. This is going to open up here. This is going to be the side where your smokestack is going to be coming out of. I've already welded out and grinded the firebox. Again, this is the door. This is actually going to sit on the opposite side, on that side. So this will be your side door. This will end up being the front of the firebox. So next, what we're going to do is, I've used this in the past, and some people like it. I'm going to end up tacking this up here, and then you're going to have this piece. It'll sit up here, and these are going to be your two side pieces, and then your smokestack's going to come. It's going to sit flat on this one, come out through here up the top. It's going to be square tubing. I don't like the way it looks when you put a pipe smokestack coming out of a hexagon or octagon. I'm sorry. Just to me, it just doesn't look right. It looks better with square tubing, so that's what we're going with. But yeah, I like the way it looks after it's ground flush and it's ground smooth, and once it's all painted, it just looks a lot better. Round off your edges so your paint will stick properly. If you have real sharp edges, your paint won't stick right, and you'll end up, it'll flake, it'll peel on you. So I round them off. That'll be the next step. Start working on that smokestack. What I do is I already leveled it out. This way, rotating wise, it's level, and it's level going this way. That way, the attachment that I do fit up, it will be square and level. much. Just this is where that square tubing will sit for the smokestack. Now I'm going to go through, weld this out. Some people ask, why don't I do this at the end? What I do is I put the smokestack on at the end. But for right now, I like to go ahead and tack this on and weld this out, because right now I can roll it. Yes, I'm able to weld it in position, but why not make it easier on yourself? I can weld this flat, roll it, weld anything I want, vertical or flat, which is easier than welding overhead, especially with MIG. So why not make it easier on yourself? So I'm gonna go ahead and weld this out, plane it up, and then after that we will tack the two together, the main chamber and the firebox. Once we get those tacked together, we'll weld that out, and then we will lift it and sit it down on top of the cart.